Welcome to the Brain Alpha. You know, we're always told that failure is the mother of success. But what if that's, well, only half the story? Today, we're going to dig into the difference between failing productively and just failing. And I'm going to show you a simple framework to make sure every setback you face is a stepping stone, not a dead end.
Yeah, we've all heard this one, right? Or some version of it. It's the go-to thing people say when something goes wrong. And it's supposed to be encouraging, but honestly, it kind of hides a much more complicated truth.
And that really brings up the crucial question, doesn't it? Is all failure the same? And the simple answer is no way. There is a huge difference between a failure that teaches you something incredibly valuable and one that just wastes your time and energy. Let's break that down.
Okay, think about it like this. Imagine a high school athlete who spends 3 whole years on the bench. They get really good at picking up balls. They're technically failing to make the team every single day, but here's the thing. They aren't learning the actual skills needed to play the game. They're just stuck in this loop of unproductive failure, and that's a trap so many of us fall into without even realizing it.
So, here's our game plan for today. First, we'll nail down the real problem with the word failure. Then, I'll introduce you to a super powerful tool called the risk and reward matrix. We'll look at some awesome real-world examples of good and bad failures, and then I'll leave you with a simple playbook you can start using like today.
So here's the bottom line. We have to get good at telling the difference between setbacks that are stepping stones and those that are just dead ends. Mindlessly doing the same thing that doesn't work over and over again isn't noble, it's just inefficient. Real success comes from learning the right lessons from the right kind of failures. So what exactly makes a failure a stepping stone? Well, Harvard researcher Amy Edmondson calls it intelligent failure. Now, this isn't about being careless or lazy, it's about taking calculated risks where, even if you don't hit your target, you walk away with valuable knowledge and the downside was minimal. That knowledge, that's the real stepping stone.
Okay, so how do we find these amazing opportunities for intelligent failure? We can use a really simple but powerful tool, the risk and reward matrix. This thing helps us sort our potential actions before we even take them so we can make sure we're chasing the right kinds of risks.
This matrix makes our choices incredibly clear. Look at this. High risk for a low reward, that's the avoid zone. Just a terrible bet, stay away. Low risk for a low reward, that's the stagnation zone. Sure, it's safe, but you'll never grow there. And then you've got the gambler's zone. High risk, high reward. That's a total Hail Mary pass that can lead to absolute disaster. The real magic, the real opportunity for growth is somewhere else entirely. And here it is. This is the sweet spot, the intelligent failure zone. This is where we should be actively looking for things to try. These are the experiments where the cost of failing is small, maybe a little bit of time, maybe some minor embarrassment, but the potential upside, the knowledge you could gain, is massive.
To really get this, let's look at one of the most famous examples of a good failure in history. I mean, it perfectly shows how a total mistake in one area can become a revolutionary success in a completely different one.
You see, a good failure really has 2 key ingredients. First, the risk is pretty small and contained, and you honestly don't know what will happen until you actually try it. And second, the knowledge you get from the attempt, win or lose, can be used somewhere else. It's not a one-shot dead-end experience. The Post-it note is the perfect case study. The original goal, a super strong glue, was a complete and total failure, but the risk was low. It was just a lab experiment. The failed result wasn't thrown in the trash. It was looked at again and applied to a totally new problem. That pivot, that's the absolute essence of intelligent failure.
All right, so let's flip the coin. What about the bad failures? You know, the ones we absolutely have to avoid. These are the mistakes that just drain our energy, teach us absolutely nothing, and keep us stuck.
Bad failures. They usually come from one of 3 places. First, just a lack of preparation or plain old laziness. Second, arrogance, that feeling that you know better and can just ignore obvious warning signs. And third, and this one's a big one, a toxic mindset of self-blame, where you confuse a failed action with being a personal failure.
Oh man, Crystal Pepsi is a classic case of failure by arrogance. The company had the data. Their own scientists were telling them there was a huge fundamental flaw with the product, but they were so overconfident in the Pepsi brand name that they just ignored the clear, avoidable risk. This wasn't some intelligent experiment, it was a completely preventable disaster.
Okay, so we've seen the theory, we've seen the examples. How do we actually put this into practice in our own lives, like right now?
It's actually way simpler than you might think. Here are 2 super simple actions. First, write it down. Seriously, before you take a risk, grab a piece of paper and list the potential upsides and downsides. It forces you to be clear. Second, and this one is so important, you have to separate the action from your identity. A failed attempt does not make you a failure. Just look at the difference in mindset here. It's night and day, right? Self-blame is an emotional dead end. It's all about identity. I'm so useless. But analysis? That's a practical path forward. It focuses on the system. It asks, what can I improve, not what's wrong with me.
So the real takeaway here is this. Failure isn't something you should run away from, it's a tool you should learn how to use. By actively seeking out those low-risk, high-learning opportunities, you can accelerate your growth in ways that playing it safe just never will. So I'll leave you with this question. What intelligent risk, what good failure are you going to pursue this week? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and help us build the hype. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.